Hi, I'm Hollie Strano. Are you ready for it? There is an Abruptly Authentic recap coming your way.
Highways of love. What's it gonna be? Are you gonna stay? Are you gonna go?
Episode 11. I mean, I don't know that you know what it's like to sit down with your TV bestie, but that happened for me. And my gosh, you are going to hear some really personal, fun stories. Some that I'm quite certain you haven't heard before with me and my very good friend, Mark Nolan. Take a look. Zombie State.
Well, you know that from the 12-hour days you were pulling.
I do know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different world.
It really was. And so then you made the transition and we worked together for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And that was fun.
That was a weird morning.
I feel like how many stories can we tell?
So what we're referencing here is that at one point I was a chief meteorologist at Channel 3, and I did, weather at night, and you did weather in the morning. And there was just one day where our news director called me into the office and she said, "We're starting the morning show all over again. Do you want to anchor?" She was that exasperated whenever she said it. And I just standing there with my hands in my pockets going, okay.
Plot twist.
Yeah, right. I said, okay, yeah, let's give that a shot. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I've never, as much as time and effort and schooling and everything that I put into meteorology in order to get to where I was.
Thermodynamics.
Yeah.
Can we just
I
take a moment?
Thermo class, thanks. Stats, it's just.
I don't want to see a skew T as long as I live.
No, and it's rough, and in the time you're like, is it really worth it?
Right? Is anyone out there wondering about the skew T, or if they should get in the basement?
Yeah, let's talk mass-driven velocity for a little while, and everything will be fine. People love that. And you're on for 2.5 minutes, maybe 3, but you're studying for 4 and 5 hours. So you start to think to yourself, this is insane. But I never really felt like I wanted to even pigeonhole myself in that. Always enjoyed, the radio side, and you always end up on the wacky live shot as the meteorologist. So you get a chance to interview people, and so why stop there if somebody gives you an opportunity?
See, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's what it was for me. So I often say, if we're in like a public forum, for example, you know this about me already, but I think you probably get the same question to this day, like, did you just always know, like, scientific? And my answer might disappoint people because it's like, no, I just like people, and everyone talks about that. So I wanted to make sure that I was educated, so I didn't sound like, I wasn't equipped to talk about the subject matter. And it's interesting, of course, but I love that everybody relates to it. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, everybody relates to the weather. And then you think of the weather person, I did anyway, watching people like Dick Goddard and Don Webster and all those people that we grew up with. Mm-hmm. They were like my friend.
Right.
I was like, they're my buddy.
Exactly.
And that's what I wanted to be to others.
It's the one part of any newscast that affects every single viewer.
Correct.
There may be 5 stories in the A block, the first block of every show, that may not affect more than 10, 20% of everybody who's watching, but there is a point where everybody needs to know, do I need to put a jacket on?
Yeah.
And if you're the person, the face that's telling them, well, you develop a friendship.
Beyond the jacket, because let's assume that, with common sense, you might be looking at us like, we know how to put on a jacket.
Right.
You get to do like what you just did.
Yeah.
We can laugh with you.
Sure.
I mean, I say all the time, 365 days in Cleveland is pretty much 340 without severe weather.
Right.
I mean, is that fair?
Yeah.
So it's usually sunny, cloudy, and uneventful.
Snow.
Right.
And the snow.
Right. Like we're not going to Oz every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like a big personality factor in it.
The funny part is now that I don't do weather anymore, and this happened gradually, I probably enjoy meteorology more now than I did before because I didn't have the pressure of, we got to go on. You got to cover up Dr. Phil. You got to go on. You got to take the calls are going to start coming in. I tell you what, Hollie, I think about this a lot. I'm so happy that the majority of my meteorology career was without social media.
Yeah.
Because
oh gosh, you just made me think of something. Go ahead.
Well, the emails and the phone calls were bad enough.
Oh, I know.
But if there is a completely unfettered, let's go ahead and take a shot at whoever, and I guess we can do this now because we're all keyboard commandos, then it is brutal. I don't have to tell you this, but it's just rough. So I'm glad.
You did really well with trolls.
Yeah. I would tell them, well, first of all, I know I've said this to you a million times.
Mark loved trolls. Now I'm going back to the early days.
Yes. I am so thankful that I didn't have to go through broadcasting, being on TV or whatever, as a woman. I told you that before.
You did.
It is so the way people speak of and to, in some cases, directly by way of phone or email or whatever, about general appearance. And as a male, I didn't really have to go through that. And I always felt awful for what you guys always had to go through. But I would say if somebody did take a shot at you or somebody else, I would just simply write back, I will not accept any commentary regarding anyone's appearance without a accompanying photo of you.
That was his standard response.
That was my standard response.
Yeah. Can you please send your picture?
Love to see a shot of you, world beater.
A story that I will never forget about you. When we were working together, I was pregnant with Jessica.
Oh, God. I like where this is headed.
Do you remember this?
No, tell me. Give me.
So I'm going to say Franken Truck.
Okay.
And that was Mark's truck.
Right.
So Mark had a truck called Franken Truck.
Franken Truck was just an old pickup truck that I drove until it had 360,000 miles on it. And
you drove it to work, and we'd hear it in the garage.
Yeah.
It was like the spaceship.
It was $1,500.
Is the shuttle taking off, or is that Mark arriving? So
it lasted me for 8 years.
Yeah. So I was early in my pregnancy with Jessica, and it was at the wee hours, like the 2 a.m. And I had a scare.
Yeah.
And Mark was like, "We're leaving.
Let's go.
I'm driving Hollie to Hillcrest." In Franken Truck, I mean, I'm like crying and a mess, and you're trying, and we left a live production waiting to happen without a meteorologist or one anchor, and you took me to Hillcrest, and
that's right. In Franken
obviously she was healthy and fine, and you took me to that appointment. It wasn't an appointment. It was like an emergency.
Yeah, it was an emergency. Yeah. And I apologize that I took
at
you in that awful truck.
And here we are in Franken Truck at Hillcrest Hospital.
What would have been safer?
In
you
suits.
Just walking
like,
or
hey,
the truck? I don't know.
I'm in suits. I'm like, am I fine? Mark's never been in that situation. But that is the kind of man and friend he is.
Wow.
And I think that story says a lot. Thank
you.
you. And I think that's why you're Uncle Mark.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah.
I get approval.
You definitely
Officially
do.
as Uncle Mark.
Yeah.
I love it. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
Make sure you remind her of that story when she comes home tonight.
I will. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. She doesn't remember it, thank goodness.
Yeah.
It was probably really traumatizing. It would have been if she did, because she would have heard me like, and you were very calming.
Yeah, I think I was probably just terrified, but yeah. Yeah.
All right. I want to be on your show soon.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Let's do like live questions, because you could do that on the radio.
Oh my God.
Am I giving you
anxiety? What are you
anxiety?
trying to do? Yeah, you are giving me anxiety.
Well, can we do like
I'm no longer crisp.
You are crisp. I'm a honey crisp, and you're crisp.
All right.
These episodes all have a special place in my heart, but episode 12 is truly near and dear, because we talk about how I got into the TV industry in this episode, and Brad Sussman was my mentor, more or less. And it was back in the dinosaur ages, let me tell you. He dives in deep.
And that was way back when you were a senior in college.
Correct.
And you...
First semester.
Yeah, you went to interview our general manager, Gary Robinson, who was on the board of the communications department at John Carroll. Mm-hmm. And I was out giving school talks that afternoon, so I came in probably about 4 o'clock. But in the time you interviewed Gary Robinson, he said, there's somebody else you should interview. And he called down to Don Webster and said, will you interview this young lady from John Carroll. Well, let's stop there and go back to when I started at Channel 5, 1993. I'm with Don, working with him, putting his maps together during the day, and then he'd do the 5 and 6 o'clock show.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah, good old days, right?
3-hour dinner.
We'll talk about that too.
But that's when I made my tape.
Oh, yeah. The stories I've got. Yeah. So I'd always say to Don, I said, we should get an intern. Oh, I don't want an intern. That was stumbling all over him. Crotchety guy. So Hollie has her interview with Gary Robinson, our general manager. Then she has an interview with Don Webster. And I walk into the office about 4 o'clock. And Don comes up to me, puts both hands on my shoulder and says, have we ever thought about having an intern? I said, why? Oh, this great young lady came in today. She's from John Carroll. Hollie's her name. I think we should have her as an intern. There you go. That's how it started.
That's how that started.
And so Hollie would come in and hang around with Don and I. But the main time you'd be here was on the weekends with me because I was doing weekend weather at the time.
Yeah.
And that gave us a lot of time to work together. You would put my maps together. I mean, it took you no time to learn the weather computer. We'd look at the forecast stuff together. You'd put together the maps. I'd do the show at 6 o'clock. And then I'd go out and get dinner for us, go to Li Wah, our favorite Chinese place. Right. And so the first day I said, you really need to practice in front of the chroma key, the green wall. And I set up the show that I had. And I said, just go ahead and walk through it a number of times. Well, I go get dinner. So it's a half hour. I come back. And in the newsroom, there's this whole crew there standing in front of the television looking at it. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, we're watching Hollie. And one of the guys, the old grizzled veteran. I
don't know that I know this part.
Yeah, you don't know this part. It's the old grizzled veteran of our newsroom turns around and looks at me and he says, she's better than most of the people in Cleveland.
Oh, my God.
And so I'm watching this and I call up to the control room and said, could you roll tape on this? And so they rolled tape on.
Goosebumps. I don't know this part of the story.
You don't know this part of the story.
Well, I mean, gosh, you waited a long time to tell it.
But you know the outcome.
I do.
Yeah. So what happened is I got this tape together and we picked one of the ones that was perfect. All of them were great. And the next day that I was into the office was a Tuesday. And Jim LeMay was our news director.
I remember him.
Great news director. Wonderful guy.
He had a baseball bat.
Yeah, all the time. And he was a character. Oh, the LeMay stories. We could go for hours. Yeah. So I walked in. I said, hey, boss, you got a couple of minutes? He said, yeah. I said, I want you to see this tape. Popped it in. He's watching. He watched it for about 30 seconds. He says, where is Hollie right now? I said, I think she's in class, but I'll find out. So I called you, and you happened to be home, and I said, Jim LeMay wants to see you. And first thing Hollie said is, am I in trouble? I'm like, it turned out that Jim LeMay had just gotten off the phone with the news director in Toledo. And this news director was asking around if anybody knew somebody because they had a weekend weather position open. And so I said to LeMay, what do you need her for? He says, I think I've got a job for her. So I call you and tell you to come down here. And I don't know what happened behind closed doors, but I know he gave you kind of a what for of what's going to happen in this industry and how women are treated. Mm-hmm. Because you came out of that office nearly in tears. Mm-hmm. Is that true? Because he was kind of upfront and very, very forward about.
It was at that moment that because I was only in communications at John Carroll, as you know. I think you know that.
Yeah.
And it was in that defining moment that I said, I am going to become a meteorologist too.
Absolutely.
Because I will not be thought of as a weather bunny or any such thing. And so that's when and you know of Mississippi State's program.
Yeah.
So
went through it myself.
I have decided that, I'm going to turn this into something that's pretty f***ing awesome.
Good. And you have.
Episode 13 is a great example of how Abruptly Authentic is not just about sobriety or other addictions. It's about health. It's about mental health. And in this episode, I talk about my cancer journey, very personal, and raising awareness to something that is stigmatized a lot as well. So I wake up, kind of. If you've been under full anesthesia, you know that you're groggy. But I was determined, this is the stubbornness in me, to get out of there. I did not want to spend the night. I wanted to go home and have my mom make chicken soup like I knew she was going to and be around my children. And it just so happened that that was the night of the tornadoes. And so when I was really starting to wake up, that was happening. So I'll never forget that night. So I see my doctor's name flash across my screen and I'm driving. And so I answered, and I have humor, believe it or not, this bundle of nerves and whatnot. And I said to him, you know, hey, and I was safe. This was speakerphone in the car, but I wanted to answer because I knew it was my doctor. And I said, hey, you know, I'm just driving along with no ovaries and fallopian tubes. How are you? And I'll never forget the words that came out of his mouth, which was kiddo. And I knew as soon as he said kiddo, good for you for knowing your body. It's cancer. I started seeing spots. I never fainted in my life. I do believe that I would have if I didn't have the tools that I had already learned months ago in therapy. And I was well aware my cortisol was elevating minute by minute. So I immediately pulled off to the side of the road to finish the conversation while seeing spots. And listen, as he continued to talk, I went to my worst case. My first question, am I going to die? And he said, oh gosh, no, you're not dying. And I love my doctor. I want to make this really clear to you. He's on my social. You can go find the post. Doctors are human beings, you know, and things happen. And so I have only great things to say about him. But I was definitely in a bit of shock. I'm processing. The words, I have cancer, like nobody wants to hear those words. Yet throw in ovarian cancer, which I think all women know. And that's why I immediately went to, am I going to die? So we're talking, I'm retaining about half of what he's saying because of my cortisol and the spots. And I had the like pit in my stomach and felt like I was going to vomit and all the anxiety things that happen. And again, he goes, you know, no, God, you're not going to die. You caught this at the earliest stage. Nobody catches this at the stage you did. I'm a bit relieved by that. And then we end the phone call and again, like I'm even hesitating here as I tell you this story because I'm getting flashbacks of how I was so in shock. I mean, it's the only word I have, in shock, like in a mode of shock again. Like here comes that mode of shock that I'm very familiar with, fight or flight mode. As I sat parked in the, you know, curb and interpreted what I could from the conversation. And I was hearing things like oncologist and another doctor and another surgery. And it was like, and yeah, that turned into more blood work, more tests, and then surgery number 2 with an oncologist this time. Why share? Why share about addiction? Why share about recovery? Why share about cancer? Because we need to talk about these things, all of them. I recover out loud. I have made a promise to myself, for myself, that I will recover out loud because it's strong and empowering. And I'm recovering out loud, not only for myself, but for you. For so many of you that have reached out to me saying, thank you for that. I'm afraid to talk about those things. And a lot of you are sharing too. But we recover out loud because if we don't, everything gets brushed under a really scary rug that builds into a mountain. And that's not the kind of mountaintop we want to be on. We want to be on a mountaintop that we're in as much control in as we can be. Sure, we are not in complete control of what cards are dealt to us. But if you're on top of your medical game, which I am now more than ever, I mean, come on. Knowledge is truly power. It really is. And I'm going to just give a big shout out to my team of gratitude for just pushing me. The way I can describe it to you is that if I wouldn't have acted, this would have spread all over my body like a wildfire out west. On episode 14, we introduce you to our doctor on Abruptly Authentic, Dr. Patrick Beeman. And in this episode, Dr. Beeman weighs in on my cancer journey.
I'm curious, the time from that phone call until the next point of contact with the GYN oncologist, how long was that?
Oh, days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, because sometimes it's not.
No.
In a lot of areas of the country, I mean, it's a month out,
No, that would not have been okay for me.
That, as far as anxiety goes, I mean, I hate just that practical situation, because what are you going to do for
and you
a
feel
month?
Like a ticking time bomb.
And all you hear is, like you said, or think is, I'm going to die. So you had the second surgery within weeks-ish?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
They don't like to do it, but they did it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't like to do a lot of things, but sometimes it's necessary. It takes work. You said it, right?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, all the stuff that really moves the needle in terms of improving health outcomes, or even better, preventing them from happening.
Correct.
They do take work.
In the next episode, we sit down with a member of the group Outrun Ovarian Cancer, and her name is Gretchen. And let me just say, Gretchen works so hard on raising awareness about this disease. And what you're going to find in this episode is that you will be left feeling so much hope. Take a look.
Ask the doctor, why am I bleeding? Why I stopped bleeding 10 years ago?
Right.
I think anybody that goes into a doctor and they have any question about something feels off, ask the doctor that. And if you don't like the answer, ask a different doctor.
That's the key.
Be your own advocate.
We need to get more and more women, in my just humble opinion, going to the doctor.
Yes.
I do believe that there is this sort of fear that exists. If I don't know, right?
Right.
If I wouldn't have known, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
And that's the beauty of the future, is that you don't have to feel that way because there are things you can do.
Right.
And
I wanted to get into that. So mine was caught super, super early. I have heard from so many of you where it was not super early and you are thriving.
Yes.
Talk about some of those stories, because they are inspiring.
Very. There are women that come to our race year after year, and when they're diagnosed at stage 3C, which is pretty common, it's a later staging, but it's a staging that a lot of these women have overcome.
Yes.
And they change, and it's just amazing where they have come from and where they are now. So it is it's amazing to see the amount of women that keep coming back year after year.
Yeah. Episodes 16 and 17 are really difficult. We sit down with a veteran and we talk about his experiences in service. And it's tough. I'm just going to put that out there, because you're about to watch something that is really hard, but also really necessary to watch. Meet Micah and prepare to be moved. Can I take a moment? Thank you. Thank you for what you have sacrificed and done for this country. I just feel the need. I know we're not I don't even know if we're halfway through this interview, but just listening to you, I have the urge to thank you.
It's always awkward. Like, a response is like, the go-to is like, thank you for your support. But I truly do appreciate you saying that, because I know what the Vietnam vets, what they came back to. I don't know it like firsthand, but I hear stories from them, how they were treated. I'm very grateful and thankful that the climate of what today's world sees the military as.
I am above and beyond.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Let it be known.
I'll never forget, because obviously 21st birthday, 99% of Americans, 21st, woo, let's get wasted and whatnot. I was watching my best friend get blown up. And once we came from the rear, we cleared for secondaries, daisy chains and whatnot. We drove our truck up. First word, once we got my gunner into our vehicle, first words, he came down on the buttstock of his gun. Big old, it split him wide open on his chin, bleeding everywhere. And his first words to me was,
This is your best friend?
Yeah, he was, happy birthday, mother. Like, that level of camaraderie and brotherhood, the dude just had his life flash before his eyes. And he was worried about saying happy birthday to me.
Yeah.
Hands down, I have survivor's guilt.
Oh, God, I can't even imagine.
That, because I put those people there, with the intel that we had, but it's not the way that works out, I guess. I struggle with that every day of my life, because Ballard, he has a kid. He had a kid. When he was over there, she was pregnant, and then Juarez, his wife, her girlfriend, she was pregnant with a kid, and Hamer had 2 or 3. This is Hamer's like 5th or 6th deployment, being a reporter over there. And knowing now I have 2 kids of my own, like, every time that they laugh, the joyous part's in the back of my mind. It's like, you don't deserve this, mother.
You? Yes, you do. You do.
The biggest thing is, like, there's always that voice.
Yeah.
In the back of my head, because they're not able to enjoy their family and kids. And
you are.
Like, later on in the deployment, my vehicle even got, like, I got blown up April 16th. My vehicle and I got knocked out. That's where I got the TBI and everything. But look at me. I have all my appendages, everything. It's the toughest part, coming home after such a kinetic deployment where you're not missing a limb, not you're whole. Well, so people are like, "Oh yeah, you're good. You're whole." It's like, you have no idea.
No.
You have no idea.
No, they don't.
No idea the hell that is going on between my ears. Especially in my memory. Obviously, like my family, close friends, and everything. They know what I deal with daily.
Yes, they do.
And whatnot. But it's like outsider looking in. The people that come home, everyone that comes home, you have no idea what anyone has been through. That's why there should be no judgment. There should be no. And the biggest thing that I can say to people is just, we know you're thankful. Just, if we reach out, just listen. Everyone is so busy to talk and talk and talk. No one just wants to listen.
If I may, these things need to be heard.
I think that would...
you keeping them between your ears your entire life. That's not what God wants. In this last episode, we really take you full circle. We sit down with Matt and Melinda, the founders of the Miles Group, and we go back to a time of substance abuse and the stigma that accompanies it, and just the tragedy that also follows.
He was just an all-around, just a very great person. And many of his friends and a lot of our family always say it was just one of the coolest people they had ever met.
And his name is Miles.
Yes.
So Matt, it's good to have you join us as well. And I want to start by asking you how your understanding of addiction changed after what happened with Miles and your experience.
Yeah. I don't think I really understood addiction as well as I thought I did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was a choice, but I think there's a point where people reach when they realize they have a problem and they can get over it. But that doesn't happen to people. Some people don't have that switch or motivation to do that. And some people will live in a lifetime of recovery because of their substance use disorder and addiction.
Yeah. Would you feel comfortable talking and sharing about what happened to Miles, how the overdose became part of his life, your lives?
Yeah. So in 2021, which was during COVID, and, I think a lot of people struggled with just everyday life. And if they were having any struggles with their mental health or feeling anxious or depressed, it was kind of amplified during that time. And as I had mentioned, he was a musician, and he and his friends had really started playing in different local venues around Cleveland and Lakewood and really having a good time doing what they love. And then when, because of COVID, everything shut down, and he wasn't going to school in person and wasn't able to do what he loved with playing guitar, playing music. So life changed abruptly, and I never want to blame COVID, but I'm just saying kind of leading up to it.
COVID really impacted
It really
us.
did. It really did.
Did you see the signs?
Yes, when it was too late, I think. But I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Was it drinking? Was it weed? Was it... I had no idea. And I had no idea the pills were involved. And I've known how dangerous pills are in the community and whatnot, but I didn't know fentanyl was in the pills.
What infuriates me is that because of the stigma that is associated with addiction in any form, is that, we get the bad mom, bad dad,
right,
And the reality is, like we said earlier, these are things that truly can only be processed, changed, and, have a positive result is if the addict themselves comes to realize that this is happening.
Right.
And the scary thing is I think society makes us feel so bad that this is happening in our lives, to our family, to a friend, that so many of us get afraid to talk.
Yes.
To have this voice.
There's so much shame.
This voice that you are having right now. Like it's this shame game that I want to stop.
Yes.
Because you are not a bad mother.
Right.
You're a mom that is speaking and making a difference. It has just, it's just for me, I'm so proud of your bravery.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel when people stigmatize it? When people treat you differently because of it? Because sadly, that still happens.
Oh, definitely.
And
I think even right after it happened, there was so much stigma to it. It's like, I couldn't say anything to somebody. I couldn't talk about it. You know what I mean? Or even when I realized this addiction was happening, I can't tell people about it. It's something we have to handle internally in the family. Because of that stigma, I didn't reach out to other people for help.
So there we are. I can't believe 18 episodes, a few specials thrown in there, community spotlight. I mean, what a year. It's like pinch me, 18 episodes in. And now we get to launch our next series of Abruptly Authentic. And I'm so honored that you're along for the ride. Thank you.
Highways of love. What's it gonna be?